I bid you all good morning, good evening, and good night, wherever you may be watching this transmission. It is I, Mike Martins. Guys, I got a really, really good article. I didn't catch it on any of the, Canadian media, so I kind of found this on another outsourced website here, and I found a couple of American websites that are covering it. But God forbid that Canada publishes a story like this. Japan to pay firms to leave China as part of Corona stimulus. So Japan announced it will spend $2.2 billion to help its manufacturers shift production out of China. The measure is part of the massive $989 billion financial stimulus that the government announced on April 7 to combat the economic impact of COVID pandemic. 220 billion yen, that's $2 billion of the package, is intended for companies shifting product back to Japan, and 23.5 billion yen is for those seeking to move production to other countries. So they're even paying Japanese companies to move production to other countries. Get the heck out of China. That's what it is. China is Japan's biggest trading partner. However, imports from China have slumped by almost half in February due to lockdowns. The Japanese government's panel on future investment had last month discussed the need for manufacturing of high added value products to be shifted back to Japan and for production of other goods to be diversified across the Southeast Asia. So stuff that's cheaper to make, that's not worth making in their country, they could go to they could leave China. They could go to Vietnam. They could go to Cambodia. They could go to Thailand. They could go to Malaysia. Lots of places they could spread out to. Right? You don't have to keep everything in China, right? And that's what happened. Everybody made China the economic or the powerhouse. Then they got rich, and then they came and bought our housing out, and the locals have fallen behind, right? Because a lot of people in China were building wealth off monopolizing off these big companies, but the people in the West weren't building wealth, and they were just going more and more debt. They were just creating more debt, right? According to Tokyo Research, about 1,000 Japanese companies were diversifying procurement to places other than China amid the pandemic. Even before the outbreak, many Japanese companies were already considering closing their business in China as they feared falling victim to the trade war between Washington and Beijing. On Tuesday, Japan declared a state of emergency in Tokyo and 6 other prefectures in an attempt to stem the sharp rise in the COVID cases in major cities. Last week, it was announced that Tokyo Olympic Games would start on July 23rd next year after being postponed for a year because of the pandemic, with most expenses borne by Japanese taxpayers. That sucks. Okay, that's why the Olympics are a complete failure. So here's the deal. Very intelligent. I would have never fathomed an idea like that. This guy's brilliant. His department, his thing is brilliant. Here we go. This is from the Washington Examiner. Japan allocates billions to pay manufacturing firms to leave China. So we are doing our best to resume the economic development. Chinese foreign minister, spokesperson Zhao Liang, I can't read that, said in a briefing Wednesday in Beijing when asked about two countries' relationship. In the process, we hope our countries will act like China and take the proper measures to ensure the world economy will be impacted as little as possible and to ensure the supply chains are impacted as little as possible. Well, too little, too late, right? Japan will pay its firms to leave China, relocate production as part of covey stimulus package. Here's another one here. And it just goes over exactly what this News 18. Japan firm to leave and moving elsewhere. So this is how serious they are, guys. This is actually a huge, huge deal, guys. This is going to create a pile of jobs.
Actually include supply disruptions or the financial crisis. How much more could that add to the cost?
That's a good question. In our cost estimate, we included the 3 elements. First is the immediate impact on tourism and movement of people, business travel. That's number 1.
I don't even understand what the guy's saying. So there it is. Japan has earmarked $2.2 billion of its economic stimulus package to help. Same thing like the other one said. Is the testing of times. Japan exports a far larger share of parts and partially finished goods, like car parts and stuff, and then they get shipped from China to Japan so they can complete their cars, or they get shipped from China, Japanese companies shipping to Korea, right? Because, you know, if you look at some of the cars, well, it's been for a while now, you'll have like 13 cars, okay, all different makes and models, 13 different ones with the same engine. And then you'll have 24 cars with the same transmission across the board. But people, because it's got a different outer shell, a different frame. Suspension usually sometimes differs, but usually a lot of cars run with the same parts to keep it as easily to repair as possible, right? New data shows U.S. Companies are definitely leaving China. So we'll see what happens with the U.S. That's why I threw this up here. U.S. companies are leaving China to the trade war. They'll leave even more thanks to the pandemic. Global manufacturing consulting firm Canray released its 7th annual reshoring index on Tuesday, showing what it called a dramatic reversal of a 5-year trend, as domestic U.S. manufacturing in 2019 commanded a significantly greater share versus 14 Asian exports tracked in the study. Manufacturing imports from China were the hardest hit. Last year saw companies actively rethinking their supply chain, either convincing their Chinese partners to relocate to Southeast Asia to avoid tariffs, or by opting out of the sourcing from China altogether. So there you go, guys. You're going to start buying things that are made in Japan now. Covey changes forever the U.S.-China relationship. So this might be because everybody used China as its toolbox, and basically all manufacturing, a majority of manufacturing, comes from China. Like that story I told you guys. Let's just say I invented a time machine. Hear me out, okay? I invented a time machine. Me, you, and like 5 other friends, we all go back to the year 1923. For some reason, we go back to 1923. We go to Germany. We go to France. And we get arrested in Portugal on our tour. They arrest us and they interrogate us because we look suspicious. They strip us down and put us in prison clothing. I said this story before, if you remember. They put us in prison clothing. Then they're going to interrogate us even further. You know why? Because everything that they're going to say, these guys do not look like they're Chinese, but they are Chinese. They'll be like, no, this guy says he's Portuguese. He told us. No, he's Chinese. And they'll be like, what? His clothing, everything he's wearing is made in China. Everything. His watch, his clothes, his belt, his shoes, like everything he has, his hat, his sunglasses, is all made in China. So you see what I'm saying? That's how, thrown for a curveball, you would think you get stuff made in Hungary, made in Taiwan, made in Czechoslovakia, made in Spain, you know? Made in Brazil. No, it's all made in China. That'd be a good plot twist for a time travel movie, actually. Anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I would like to know what you guys think about this. It's interesting because now this virus is going to actually rewrite our economic strategic outlook on where we go ahead with things when it comes to producing. Production, exports is what builds a powerful fabrication, production, and exports is what builds a powerful GDP. Not building condos and leaving them empty, selling them to Chinese investors, and then they're left empty for the rest of the people to suffer. Comment below, let me know. Thanks for watching.